It's already about halfway through Monday, and it's been a really exciting day already. I've been doing a lot of, we're kind of reconfiguring the office, and I had woke up early this morning, and I always kind of have several topics kind of floating around that are possibilities, and I literally let whatever really inspires me at the moment to lead what ultimately ends up being what the podcast is for today. And it just keeps unfolding, which is really awesome. And I'm realizing as I'm working on my book, my book, I like how things unfold. Unfolding is way better than having some plan that you think is supposed to unfold in the time frame that it does. Which brings me to the original concept of what I wanted to talk about, which is life is meant to be an adventure. We're not supposed to plot and plan everything, even though ultimately we're supposed to write down our goals and have a vision, obviously, which is what I talked about last week. But the beautiful thing is really every day as things unfold, oftentimes it leads you to even more wonderful things. A quote I heard in a message last week, which was interesting because I had taken the note of the same quote about a year ago. So obviously this really resonates with me. And it's a Stephen Furtick quote, and it is, "Details will unfold as your obedience does." Of course, our faith is a big part of our life. We believe that our life unfolds as God has it planned, that He orders our steps, but we also have to be in action, and we have to be seeking and trying to find the directives, and sometimes they come as a glaring, obvious thing, and sometimes you're just supposed to get up and do what's in front of you the next day. So we have lots of really wonderful people that are always kind of keeping their eyes out for us, really in all different places in the country. And then we have some here even in our own hometown. And I woke up to an email from a dear friend of ours who I haven't even followed up on that one yet. But yesterday, or no, it was Saturday. What day was it? It was yesterday. I got a text from a super talented designer from the St. Louis area, Michael Drummond. If you aren't familiar with him, he's somebody that you want to pay attention to for sure. We've loved him and believed in him for a long time. And he texted us about a girl who was working at the store, and he was like, "Can you get over there?" And it just ended up working out that we had so much going on that it was impossible, but we do know the name of the girl and the store. And so I texted him this morning and I said, we weren't able to go there this weekend, but trust me, we're gonna go over there today or at one point this week until we find her, because that's just what we do. And his words back to me were, "Your tenacity is inspiring." And I'm somebody who loves words. I think I've talked about that before. I'll hone in on a word and I won't let it go. Last year, my word was resolute, and I printed it off so I could see it every day. Again, I'm a visual learner and a visual thinker, and so words just are powerful to me. I mean, they're so powerful. And I said to him instantly, tenacity, like it literally, I let the words sink in. I took a minute and I said, I'm going to let that word kind of wash all over me. And something else that I like to do when I like a word or something comes, then I love to go on dictionary.com, or I have a dictionary app on my phone, and I love a thesaurus. That gets me really excited. So I looked up tenacity, and what it said was, 1, the quality or fact of being able to grip something firmly, grip, which I thought that was a kind of a cool noun version of what tenacity is. Number 2, the quality or fact of being very determined, determination. And number 3, the quality or fact of continuing to exist, persistence. And I was like, you know what? I think I am a girl with some tenacity. And Jeff is the same way. And I'm thankful for that, because sometimes I don't think any of us really appreciate how we're wired or what we do. It's because that's just how we are. I mean, we can develop an ability to be more something, but just to have kind of a natural thing. And part of writing a book, it's very cathartic. You can't help but become very analytical, which I'm already very analytical. I'm a Virgo girl. I have to be careful because I can become overly analytical. And when I came downstairs today, Jeff was like, "What's your topic? Have you thought about it?" I have three different kind of working topics going at the same time. And then I trust my gut, or what's kind of resonating with me in my heart on that particular day. So when the whole Tenacity thing unfolded, then I was like, okay, I'm going with this. And that life is supposed to be an adventure, and we're not supposed to know what's around the corner. Who wants to know that? Of course you want to have an inkling or an idea, but when you set out and have kind of this concept that life really truly is meant to be an adventure, and that it can be way more than you can ever ask or imagine. That's why I have Ephesians 3:20 tattooed on my arm, because I have to remind myself, exceedingly abundantly beyond all you can ask or think. Well, I can't plan it. I can have an idea and be moving in a direction, but life is meant to be an adventure, and tenacity is something that we should all work to develop, because it keeps us on task in just the reality of life. Life can become monotonous, or life can become stifling, or when you have a lot going on in your life, sometimes it can take you off task, so it's good to come back to it. So then what happened, which really was like, oh my gosh, this topic is something that is very much important. We're putting in these new shelves, and so some of what we're doing at the office is taking things down that we had kind of set aside. And I found this big envelope that we had, and I was like, oh, I think this is one of the articles that was written about us back in Cedar Rapids. That honestly, there was a period of time where I have literally 3 different articles, from 2 in St. Louis and 1 from here, attached to our 20th anniversary last year, that we haven't even framed and hung up yet, because there's just been so many other things that we were focused on doing. So I opened up the envelope literally 5 minutes before I was going to be doing the podcast, and I pulled out the article from a year ago, July 23rd, 2017, and it was the article in the Iowa Today section of the Cedar Rapids Gazette, which is my hometown. Last year, we celebrated the 20-year anniversary of Jeff and I meeting, becoming a couple, working together, setting out on the adventure that we're on. And the 20-year anniversary, which literally coincided back-to-back, a month apart, of me discovering the then Cedar Rapids boy, Ashton Kutcher. And so we made it. It was fun. Last year we went back to Cedar Rapids. It took place in July. We held the show at a place where we had done a show before, and it was a milestone. It was 20 years. And the topic, I completely forgot that the title of the article was Tribute to Tenacity. And so it really pulled together this whole concept of what I felt like I was supposed to be talking about today. And then I stopped and I read the first, you kind of go, oh yeah, I remember, this is a great article. And what did it say? Back to the whole idea of tenacity. It started out Cedar Rapids 20 years ago. 20 years ago, Mary Brown sat in her office watching her dreams dissolve. Her prospects were as dreary as that February day. Her marriage was ending, and her attempts to nurture models and stage local fashion shows couldn't support her life as a single mother of 3 children. It was horrible, she said. It was one of those Iowa days that was gray on gray on gray and very cold. I remember I stared out the window and thought, I just can't keep doing this. I have to stop. She prayed, God, if I'm supposed to do this, you have to show me. And it was exactly during that time, 20 years ago, that a week later, I discovered Ashton Kutcher, and I had already scouted Jeff Clark at the mall in St. Louis. I never would have imagined that I would end up living here. But that's the beauty of life, that details will unfold as your obedience does. And plans are great and wonderful, and we're supposed to have a vision, like I talked about last week, but we're also supposed to just be tenacious, keep going, pursue what is on your heart, and let it unfold, because it'll probably be way better than you could ever plan. I started also following somebody on social media. I had never heard of her. Her name is Mel Robbins. She spoke at an Arbonne conference, which I no longer sell Arbonne, but I was with Arbonne for many years, and I love the products. I have so much respect for the people in the company, and I know that they do wonderful training. The training that I received in that time, in those years, in the early infancy of Mother, I attribute so much of what I learned to Arbonne as an organization. And they had Mel Robbins come and speak at their global conference, I believe. So I follow her on social media. She's a good one to follow if you're looking for people to inspire you. And this showed up last week, and I thought, well, there's the magic question. It said, are you willing to work 10 years for it? And she goes on to talk about how people come up to her all the time and say, I want to be a motivational speaker. I want to be an author. I want to do what you do. And she says that she'll always say, how committed are you? And she'll get communication from people. I've been doing this 6 months and nothing is happening. Or I've been doing this 1 year and I should be farther along than this. And we get those kind of conversations from models where I've been doing this for 2 years and I should be farther along, or whatever in their mind that they think that they should be. They put these restrictions on it. Or someone will say, I want to do exactly what you guys do for a living. And my thought always now is, do you have 20 years? Or, to think about where we were 10 years ago, or to think about, 8 years ago or 7 years ago when we, were at a certain point and then the rug was pulled out from under us. And or to now look at the wall of all the successful models that we have that have even happened in the past 3 years or 2 years, but how many years it took to get to that point. That takes tenacity, and it takes persistence, and it takes determination, and it takes not giving up. I thought about that even farther, about defining your pursuit. People will say, I've been doing this for 3 years and nothing is really happening. And our answer will always be, okay, you may have been involved to one degree or another in the 3 years, but how much of that 3 years were you actually in a market where you could be doing something? You can't measure it by the calendar year. You have to measure when were you really focused and 100% ready to go at your competitive best, because that's how you measure how long or how much time you've put into something. Also mentally, sometimes people will think because they obsess about something or they think about something all the time, or even worse in today's world, because of social media, they post about it all the time and do hashtag model or hashtag whatever it is. But if it's not really being followed up with tangible, concrete work of getting up every day and doing what's in front of you and believing that this is an adventure and trusting it, then sometimes it's just headspace. And that's something that I challenge you to do in every pursuit that you have. Really track what the effort that you're doing, the actual concrete stuff, and you'll find it makes a huge difference. Learn to become more tenacious. Tenacity is a powerful thing. And like I said at the very beginning, life ultimately is meant to be an adventure. We're supposed to let it unfold. And again, the details will unfold as your obedience does. I appreciate you guys tuning in every Monday. I really love when you send me little messages because it keeps me going. And I hope that you take these little nuggets of wisdom and apply them to your week. And I hope to have you tune in again next Monday. Have a great day.